All right, so if you're wondering why I look like a schmuck, it's because I was invited to a in-person interview or a panel, so that's why I'm looking all spiffy. I'll let y'all know later how it went.
All right, so based on the last clip, you saw that I was invited to basically a online online on-site panel. So I'm going to go over that experience and how it kind of all worked out. So first of all, this role or this company is over an hour away from where I currently live. So the drive-in, that's what you saw me sitting in the car. As I got there a little early, of course. And the first part of it was with the HR person. So there was kind of like there was like five different people that I kind of met with. So two people I met with are from the team themselves, hold the same role. So they essentially, I guess, would do what I do. Then after that, I met with the data architect and also kind of like the main business partner that the team works with that I would be joining. So a little bit more on the business side. After that, I had lunch with technically the hiring manager, and this role is replacing her role and what she's previously done. And then after that, I met with the VP of the department and then met with Mr. HR again, and he kind of went over all the benefits that the company offers. So I'm going to go through each one of these and tell you how they were. So I'm going to start with the initial thing. So that the HR guy just kind of tells me about the company and kind of the vision or where the company is kind of going at this point. So that's here nor there. This is what you came for. So the second one, I met with the two, I guess they would be called developers, the other senior programmer analysts, and I essentially got a whiteboard test. So he really tried to dig into what I do on my current team and see where I am as far as how I would handle problems. So this is why I always say, like, it's not always right about, or it's not always about being right, but definitely explaining your thinking. So I got a whiteboard test essentially. All right. So I might be able to put an illustration somewhere, but it was a couple simple questions of how would I take if there's a one to many relationship. So you had one table, yeah, I had a relational table that connected two tables, and then you had another table. How would I find values that are in this table by using this table and the middle table, basically? So that is actually how it was explained initially with like maybe like some IDs. But as I was explaining the thinking through the table and kind of like through it, he understood that I knew what I was saying. So I didn't realize how bad whiteboarding is, even though I did one way back in the day. It is so hard to actually understand or remember syntax. And I didn't really think about that. Even like small syntax, right? Because sometimes you have to go back and change some stuff. So he actually didn't care that about like the syntax. So I kind of wrote a little bit of pseudocode with like SQL and like some notes. So it wasn't even code for real. It wasn't even like a query. It was just kind of like a whole bunch of jumble of stuff. But anyways, he basically said that I did well and I explained my thinking pretty well. So he kind of got a gauge on that. He was really cool. This guy was I believe he was a software engineer at Google. It was contract and then a solutions architect at Twitter back when it was Twitter. So really knowledgeable guy. You can tell he really loves this stuff and he really knows his stuff. So after that, I spoke with the data architect and the business, basically the business stakeholder, our main business stakeholder that we would be working with. And that was pretty good as well. The business stakeholder kind of asked about like handling different data that would essentially help his team. So aggregations and those types of things, like what if I wanted to do a campaign about such and such, what type of aggregations could you put together or think about putting together to assist my team essentially. And the data architect was very much more on like how to do that, like the tables, the different things, how to pull in the data, aggregate. So very much on the technical architecture or infrastructure of the table and the data itself, how to get it, how to put it in a table, how to model the data. So two different views, but they work together. And I guess this team is the in between the stakeholder and the data architect. So that was the next one. After that, I went to lunch with the hiring manager. It was a really cool place. I wish I was able to take more videos and stuff like that, but I believe it was kind of frowned upon. So that's just my assumption. I didn't really ask, but unfortunately, I didn't take that many videos. But we essentially went to, they have a little eating area where they have like basically 4 different, I guess, vendors that are there. 2 of them flip flop, and then the other 2 kind of stay there. So, and there's also a salad bar and things like that. So I played it safe and I got a burger. Whenever I'm kind of like in that mode of like, I don't know what to pick, or I don't know what to pick, or like I'm just under pressure, under duress. I couldn't really see the menu on any of them. And she mentioned that there's burgers over here, so I just went over there and got a burger. So yeah, burger. So they got a bunch of different options to eat. There's also an on-site cafe, Starbucks. There's a gym on in the campus, a health center with doctors and stuff like that. So it's a really cool place to be. So lunch wasn't anything crazy. Just talked to the hiring manager. She talked a lot about like the role and her progression and how I would essentially be replacing her role. There's some things I have to say about that, but I'll probably get to that in another video. She basically started doing new stuff and started carrying that work throughout each team that she went through. She was initially on the business side, then she started out building processes and kind of carried that all the way into the team that she's on now. She's been promoted, so they're basically looking for somebody to backfill her position, which still houses all of this stuff that she's created and carried over. So, yeah. So, anyways, after that, I went back into the room, and it's like a conference room. And then after that, I met with the VP. So, with the VP, I was able to more or less see on his vision of the company, the team itself, where his kind of like, I guess, view of where the company or the team would be going in the future. He's very pro AI. We actually talked about he's building some type of app just on his free time with Claude Code. He started as a application developer in that company and has worked his way up. He's been there for like 24 or 25 years. So he was a really cool guy, really knew his stuff, and was a really good conversation. That one wasn't too in-depth, stressful, or anything like that. We really just talked. He kind of got to know me a little bit more, my background. I got to know his, and we really just had a really good talk, and we had such a good talk. He was actually late. The HR guy had to come in and get him because we were just talking, and he forgot to keep on track with time. So really good thing. Then I'll kind of skip over this part, but basically HR guy came back in, explained the benefits. Now the benefits I will go over in probably the next video and kind of explain all of that. I don't want to make this video too long, so that was essentially my experience there. Now it's kind of just waiting to see what next steps are and what to do going forward. So that's going to be the end of this video. I'll update y'all next time. Love, peace, and chicken grease.